this video, I will outline the specific information that you need to know in order to sponsor your conjugal partner and the required documents that you will need to submit. A conjugal partner refers to a person that is living outside of Canada, that is in a binding relationship with a sponsor for at least 1 year, however was not able to live with that partner. Thus, the conjugal partner that is applying for permanent residency in Canada must actually be living outside of Canada in order to qualify as a conjugal partnership. This term refers to both opposite sex and same-sex relationships. In many instances, the partners are separated by war, persecution, or other legal barriers that prohibit the continuous cohabitation of the applicant with their Canadian sponsor. The conjugal partnership sponsorship was created for exceptional circumstances, such as the previously mentioned circumstances, where the individuals are unfortunately not able to marry or qualify as a common law partnership. The benefit of this type of sponsorship is that once the conjugal partner is approved and the application is successful, then they will be able to gain permanent residency in Canada and be reunited with their partner. Moreover, it is very imperative for the sponsor to know that once they sponsor someone, they are essentially responsible for all of the financial support and all of the basic needs of that sponsored person. Prior to sponsoring your conjugal partner, it is essential that they do not and will not need the assistance of the Canadian government in terms of financial help and support. If your partner receives any financial support from the Canadian government, then you are entirely responsible to pay back any funds that they have received during their support period. Consequently, if you do not pay the funds back, then you will not be able to sponsor anyone else in the future. Additionally, if your financial circumstance changes, unfortunately, the sponsorship will not be cancelled and will continue. The sponsoring of your partner is a binding promise of support, meaning that your responsibility to support your partner will be for the entire length of the support period. Now I will discuss the eligibility to sponsor. You can only become a sponsor if you are a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, at least 18 years old, living in Canada. However, if you are a Canadian citizen that lives outside of Canada, then you must ensure that you show intent to live in Canada once your spouse receives permanent residency. Keep in mind that you cannot sponsor if you are a permanent resident living outside of Canada. Able to prove that you have enough income to provide for your partner and their dependent children if applicable. Now I will discuss the eligibility for conjugal partner sponsorship. In order to prove to the Canadian government that you are in fact in a conjugal partnership, there are many requirements that you must take into consideration. For instance, you must show the ongoing and genuine relationship to a Canadian citizen or permanent resident for a minimum of 1 year. You must have combined documents to the extent possible with the Canadian citizen or permanent resident. And lastly, you must show that cohabitation was not possible and it was entirely out of your control. At the end of the day, the immigration officer will be the one and only person to decide whether your conjugal relationship is genuine and whether your application will be accepted or denied. One of the biggest obstacles that the immigration officer will run into is why the couple has not decided to marry. And the immigration officer will of course take into consideration these circumstances. Keep in mind the lack of cohabitation is usually due to immigration barriers. Usually the couple actually shows that they intend to marry in the future. Therefore, the immigration officer must investigate further to see if the couple does in fact intend on marrying once they enter Canada. It is very important to keep in mind all of the aforementioned requirements prior to applying for a conjugal partner sponsorship. Here at Akrami & Associates, we work and have dealt with many immigration matters. We have also helped many of our clients become reunited in Canada. If you feel like you will be eligible for a conjugal partner sponsorship, please feel free to contact us. With Akrami & Associates, there's always a way.